Hijikata-san had risked his life to take down Utsunomiya Castle. In the end, it didn't matter. The castle Hijikata-san risked his life to take was retaken by the Imperial Army 4 days later, with nearly 20,000 men from the Satsuma, Choshu, Ogaki, and Totori domains. Ogaki domain, longtime allies of the shogunate who had served alongside them at the Battle of Toba Fushimi, before defecting at the last minute and spearheading the Imperial attack force. Totori domain, one of the traitorous domains who defected at the Satsuma Choshu side during the Battle of Fushimi. Following the battle, they marched alongside Imperial troops to capture Edo. After the battle, Otori and the rest of his soldiers set out to Aizu. Hijikata-san had miraculously survived his ordeal, but he was by no means recovered. He drifted in and out of consciousness for days, hovering at death's door. He was eventually sent away from the front to Nikko so he could recover. Since we'd arrived in Nikko, I'd busied myself doing my best to take care of him. As a Fury, most normal medication had little to no effect on him. Most of my nursing, therefore, consisted of fervently hoping that his natural strength and tenacity would bring him through. Fortunately, my prayers seemed to pay off, and in time his wounds began to heal. Although those made by Cosmos Demon Slayer did not do so easily or quickly. I found myself thinking about the Battle of Utsunomiya. After watching Hijikata-san in battle, the same soldiers who were too frightened to fight just minutes before ran to cross swords with the enemy. Afterward, they had told him that he was an honor to fight alongside the Shinsengumi. Told him that it was an honor to fight alongside the Shinsengumi, for they were true samurai. Hijikata-san, you are the core of the Shinsengumi. Without you, there is no Shinsengumi. The Shinsengumi needs you. So please, you can't die. Please. Several days later, I walked into Hijikata's room to change his bandages and was brought up short by what I saw. What did we see? Hijikata-san, what are you doing? He recovered some, enough to move and speak without pain, but he was still confined to his bed. Or at least he was supposed to be. This man knows no bounds! You can't do that! When I said you were healthy enough to get up, I didn't mean you were healthy enough to work!
そんなに長い時間じゃねえよ。これを書き終わったらすぐ休むさ。
Please tell me we drag his ass to bed. You nearly died! You need to rest!
誰が死にかけた？そこまでひどくねえよ。こんなのかすり傷だ。
Barely a scratch! Do you know how long I've been taking care of you? He continued to write, not even bothering to look up.
ああ、わかったわかった。
I hoped for a little more contrition. However, it seemed like I needed to take what I could get. Well, at least let me put this on you. You're going to catch a chill. I feel like that should be cold, but okay. As I spoke, I draped his old jacket across his shoulders.
お前のことだから、いらねえって言っても聞かねえんだろうな。
I'm glad to see you understand how this works. Now, as soon as that's done, it's straight back to bed for you. And and don't even think about working behind my back. I've got my eye on you. At last, Hijikata-san turned and looked at me, his face quirked in a small, bitter smile.
世話をかけたな。
He was more polite than I'd expected. Huh? Had I heard wrong? I stared back at him intently.
そして島田にも礼を言っておかねえとな。感謝する。ありがとう。
Hijikata-san's thanks was rarely unaccompanied by Hijikata-san's thanks was rarely unaccompanied by cynism, sarcasm, or outright derision. But this... what had come over him? He was strangely genuine.
どうした？何かおかしなこと言ったか？
No. It's not like that. It was more that I'd never seen Hijikata-san act so nice. Later that night.
副長が意識を取り戻したって本当ですか？
That was quick!
土方君の怪我の調子が良くなったと聞いて寄らせてもらったよ。
I'm gonna remember, Brain. Konbanwa, Otori-san, Shimada-san. Hijikata-san is over here. Before I could even finish, Shimada dashed past me to Hijikata-san's side.
よかった。あの時は本当にどうなることかと。
Oh, Shimada! Shimada's eyes began to tear up and he blinked rapidly to clear them.
大げさだな。あれっぽっちで死にゃしねえよ。
そうですよね。副長は何があっても絶対に死んだりしませんよね。
He rubbed his hand across his face awkwardly, trying to brush away the tears that refused to stop forming. Oh!
土方君、今日は言いたいことを言わせてもらうよ。宇都宮城での君の戦いぶりはまさに鬼神のごとしだった。士気も大いに上がり、兵士たちは皆君のことばかり噂しているよ。だが君の戦い方は参謀としては失格も失格、問題外だ。指揮官が最前線に出て行ってどうする？
ちょっと大鳥さん、怪我が治ったばかりなんですから、いきなりそんなことを言わなくても。
いいや、言わせてくれ。今日ばかりは我慢できん。いいかい土方君、部隊の洋式化というのは兵に洋式の軍服を着せ銃を持たせればできるものではない。僕らは戦力と人員をきちんと把握し、どうすれば勝てるのか戦術をきちんと考えなくてはいけない。闇雲に突っ込むだけでは昔と何も変わっていないんだよ。兵士を手足だとするならば参謀は頭脳だ。頭脳が死んでしまってはたとえ手足が残っていても戦争の遂行はできないんだ。
Hijikata-san's eyes went wide. Otori continued, oblivious, but I knew what Hijikata-san was thinking. Those words were exactly from...
何をしているんですか、副長。あなたは頭で、俺は手足のはずでしょう。そん 我を忘れて敵陣に突っ込んでどうするんですか。手足ならたとえなくなっても替えは効きます。ですが頭がなくなってしまっては何もかもおしまいです。
The day Hijikata-san had become a fury, Yamazaki said very nearly the same words to him.
なんか山崎にまた叱られてるみてえだな。
Might as well be. Oh, God! His words were to himself, and there was a faraway look in his eyes. Otori frowned in a confused manner.
土方君、何がおかしいんだい？僕は真面目に話してるんだよ。僕も僕の部下も君をどれだけ心配したことか。
For a few moments, he simply stared at Otori. Normally, he would have fired back with sarcasm or perhaps outright insults, but if he was in a bad enough mood. But this...
今日は何を言われても凄んでも意見を曲げるつもりはないからな。
いや、分かってるよ、大鳥さん。迷惑かけちまってすまなかったな。
He followed his surprisingly genuine apology with a similarly surprising bow. Otori had clearly prepared himself for a variety of reactions from Hijikata-san, but this had apparently not been one of them. For several moments, he simply stood there, too flabbergasted to speak.
島田もすまなかったな。俺をここまで運んできてくれたのはお前なんだろう。
いえ、副長のためでしたらあれくらい。
Shimada seemed just as confused as Otori by Hijikata-san's sudden change. I didn't understand it either, but there was no denying that something was starting to change within Hijikata-san. Oh boy, chapter 4! Am I ready? I don't know. Alright. The summer bloomed from the buds of spring. The battle between the waning fragments of the old shogun and the imperial army was moved to Aizu. Rumors about the intense fighting seemed to float in and out of our ears, and I grew uneasy thinking about the loss of lives on each side. Although he hadn't healed completely, Hijikata-san decided to leave Nikko as soon as he was well enough to march. The trip was long on foot, but without any problems. Eventually, we arrived at Shirakawa Castle, one of the main rally points for our troops. At last, we had caught up with the main body of the Shinsengumi. Saito was there to greet us the moment we arrived at the castle.
再び生きてお目にかかれたこと、大変嬉しく思います。土方さん。
お前も無事で何よりだ。ずいぶん頑張ってくれたそうじゃねえか。
Although Saito looked relieved to have been reunited with Hijikata-san, Saito frowned and rubbed his hand at his forehead. And perhaps he was fatigued from the battles occurring one after the other.
相馬、野村、お前らも無事でよかった。心配したんだぜ。
Okay, wait, how did this happen? One, wasn't Soma arrested? And two, wasn't Nomura with Kondo-san? Hijikata-san voiced appreciation towards the two, but both Soma and Nomura had glum expressions. It was Nomura actually who began to shake before breaking down into tears. Oh no!
申し訳ありません副長
Oh, here it comes. He bowed prostrate, his voice quivering violently.
俺は局長の恩義を任されていながら力及ばずお守りすることができませんでした
Although we had heard what Nomura said, we couldn't get ourselves to grasp the meaning of his words. For him to be this distraught over being unable to protect Kondo must mean... Eventually, Saito continued after Nomura seemed inconsolable, and he took up where Nomura left off.
近藤局長は4月の末頃板橋の刑場にて斬首に処されたとのことです。
Beheaded. I swallowed. The kind-hearted Kondo-san. He hadn't even been given the chance to retain his honor and take his own life. He'd simply been beheaded like a common criminal. Such an act would have been pure humiliation for Kondo-san. Perhaps Hijikata-san had expected that.
そうか。近藤さんは腹も切らせてもらえなかったか。
His voice was controlled and unsurprised, but within his eyes I could see a bottomless, yearning despair.
局長をお守りできなかったのは俺の落ち度です。お願いします副長。俺の首を晴れてください。
God, I wanna hug Nomura.
俺もです。除名嘆願を買って出ながら局長をお助けすることができなかったんですから。
Nope, I wanna hug both of these boys. Oh my god. Why do only one of you have a root?
バカなこと言ってんじゃねえ。これ以上大使を減らすような真似ができるはずねえだろ。死ぬ覚悟ができてるんなら薄っぺらい言葉なんぞじゃなく戦場で示しやがれ。
The two fell silent. Both of them let Hijikata-san's words sink deeply into their minds, and eventually...
はい。
You could hear the guilt drip from their voices.